Kia ora. In this little video I want to talk to you a bit about tāniko materials, what you can use to weave tāniko. So the traditional material for tāniko is muka. Muka is a wonderful material. I prefer working with muka, one because I can make the threads as wide or as fine as I want them to be, which is really good, because one thing about tāniko, it's all about proportion really. It's very important that the threads going down, the whānau, are wider than the ones going across. So muka is a wonderful material to work with. But if you do not know how to make muka, if you don't know how to prepare it yet, you need to look for alternative materials. So I prefer a cotton, a natural fibre, over a synthetic fibre. Like this one here, this is some synthetic. I prefer the natural fibre, one because it's more closely related to muka, and two because you can dye it. So this dyed really easily, just using chemical dyes from the chemist, from the pharmacist. Another natural material that you can use is jute. I don't like working with jute at all because it's so fluffy. I just had a bit of a sneezing fit, and I know it's because of this jute here. So that's not, it's a lovely material to work with, but it's not good if you suffer from allergies or asthma. So that's jute there. This is jute also. That's all the jute I have, and this is probably the stuff causing me to sneeze all over the place. Okay, so we'll go back to cottons. I get this cotton here from a providoring place not far from where I live. So if you're in a harbour side town or city, have a look for a providoring supplies, and they may stock this cotton twine here. It's quite reasonably priced, and like I said, it's easy to dye, and it comes in different widths as well. I've also seen this cotton at packaging places, and you can get a finer version of this. Apparently it's used by butchers, it's butcher's twine. So that's great stuff. When you buy the cotton, you'll find that it's, it's all nicely stuck together. It's like it's got a glue or something on it. So if you are wanting to dye your material, I suggest you wash the fibre first, and then you can dye it. Then the fibre will take the dye, it'll suck it in. The wonderful thing about cottons is that, one, it's closely related to muka, two, you can dye it, and three, it comes in a whole host of different colours. So this is all this is all cotton. These are crochet cottons and embroidery threads, which come in beautiful colours. More embroidery threads, which are my latest craze. So these are really wonderful. And you may be familiar with macrame twine. If you're in New Zealand, you can get this from Spotlight stores. I'm just going to move all of these out the way for a bit. You can get these from Spotlight stores, and I saw it in Evans's, which is a fabric supply store. And knitting silk is another thing that you can get from Spotlight. So those are all of your natural fibres, the cottons, the crochet threads, the packaging cords. Those are what I suggest you work with. Whenever I travel overseas, I try and buy materials from wherever I am. So I bought these from Hobby World in Albuquerque a few years ago. These work really well, and it's got this lovely grading to it, to the colours. One way in which you can tell if a fibre is synthetic, man-made, or if it's cotton, is to burn the end of it. So just get a lighter or a match and strike it to the end of it. And if it sizzles and ends up like plastic and smells like burning plastic, you know it's a man-made fibre. If it burns and it smells like burning paper or burning hair, then you know it's a natural fibre like cotton. So you go for the material that your hands feel good with. What do I mean by feel good with? I bought this a couple of weeks ago, and it's a perfect size for these cottons that I've enjoyed working with. And I like the deep black that it is, and it's really inexpensive, but it's not a natural fibre, it's a synthetic fibre, and it does feel different in my hands. I guess it's because I'm so used to working with the natural fibre, like the muka. But it's a good alternative when you can't get anything else. Someone said to me that this is called paracord. Again, I got this from the Providooring place. So what can you do if you have materials you like, but the aho, or the threads that are going across, are not wide enough for the whenu, or the threads going down? I hope you can see in this piece of Tāniko here that what I have done is I've actually doubled the cords. So instead of just weaving these aho, or the ones going across, singularly, i.e. just on its own like this, which is far too thin for the size of the piece and also for the width of the whenu, I have doubled up. I'm weaving 2 aho as one. So that is something that you can do also. You can weave 2 or 3 cords if needed, or even 4. You just double up until the aho, the ones going across, are the thickness that works well with the width of the threads going down. So this thread here, for example, is incredibly fine. This is another thread that I bought last week sometime, and it's really thin, so I would double that up for sure before I weave, if I'm using these as the whenu. The other thing that you can do is that perhaps you can change the size of the whenu. Like if the whenu are too wide, perhaps before you cast on, you can take the whenu apart. Oh, it's a lot trickier though, taking apart than it is putting together. Play around with your materials. One thing that I don't really like weaving with is wool. I find wool has got too much stretch in it. Well, that's one thing. The other thing is it's a animal-based fibre. It's not a plant-based fibre, so it just feels different to me. I'd rather weave with the cousin of the flax, like cotton. So yeah, I don't really like working with wool. That's not to say that you can't work with it. So good luck on your hunt for Tāniko materials. Kia ora.